It's funny. We used to have training sessions every single morning, I duplicate that system till this day, and we'll talk about that later. But I remember I was just so fed up, and I had all my actual agents that had been seasoned with me for a while. I said, you know what? One of these days, I'm going to open up my own company, and everybody's going to be associates of mine. I was like, I'm going to train the best people, the right talent, and we're going to make this super easy for us to be able to just hire a body and just plug and play. So when they're ready to train, they know exactly what we're training about, and it's not like from scratch. So I remember that conversation very, very vividly, like daily.
What's up, everyone? Micah Smith here, back with another episode of Rebuild and Rise. And today I have an amazing guest, and we are going to talk about the truth when it comes to sales, why daily training is the difference between the average and the elite. Most sales teams, you're going to find they're losing deals not because they have a weak product, not because the market is hard, not because the leads are bad. We've all heard it. It's because nobody trained them today. Nobody trained them yesterday, and nobody's going to train them tomorrow. If you are a salesperson or you run a sales team and you have not role-played with them, or you have not yourself role-played in the last 24 hours, you are not in the game. You're hoping, and hoping is not a strategy. This is why I'm bringing in our sales trainer, Michelle Elise, the founder of EBA Hiring. We are going to learn from this woman as to why she built the company, why she does what nobody in her space is willing to do, and why daily training is the line between average and elite. You're listening to Rebuild and Rise. Let's get into it. Michelle, welcome to Rebuild and Rise again. Obviously, the first time around, we heard a little bit more of your personal testimony, and I have been dying to do this episode because I feel like we are going to be talking to CEOs, team leads, people who are trying to just make a better life for themselves. And somebody needs to actually hear from someone like yourself who is in the trenches, but doing it at an elite level. So I just wanted to thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm super excited. When you asked me to do this, I was like, yes, this is what I live for. Yes. So thank you so much for having me on today.
Of course, you're invaluable. I mean, you're everything. And it's kind of insane because, right, we met through business. And to the audience here, guys, so we met through business, and through business, we actually became best friends. And so if anybody knows me very well, I have a very small friend group, but it's because of my standards. And so we meet eye to eye when it comes to standards. And so listen, there's a biblical principle, right? Iron sharpens iron. So I can't think of anyone better to have on here today. And I'm so excited to dive in. I know this is going to be so good for our listeners. So before we jump in, I actually want to talk a little bit more about your mission and the why behind EBA. So what did you see in the market that made you say, I have to build this? Like, what was missing?
Well, me being sales and operations for a pretty large firm that I was working for at the time, we had done a little bit over 50 million, right? In about 5 years. And so what kept that cash register ringing wasn't just the product, it was the people behind it, right? And so we really knew that we had to continuously have the best people to help promote our company when it came to sales calls. And so one of the biggest things that I noticed was the struggle between trying to find the right talent. At the time, we were marketing everywhere. I went through almost 4 different staffing agencies, and they were recruiting me bodies, not talent. And so it was my job to find the talent, train the talent, and then it was literally just sifting through a lot of dirt. Almost think about like it was cold calls, but actually cold people coming in. And so it was just a lot of work. And, granted, the system that we created, I was able to go in and sift through those people pretty quickly. But at the end of the day, it took me 4 different staffing agencies as opposed to just one to be able to find the right people. And nobody understood when I said, I need strong salespeople. They just brought me bodies. And so that was the struggle right there because it delayed a lot of time for me to be able to get these people trained on the phones and to continue keeping that cash register ringing, right, for our business.
Amazing. So, was there a moment in time where you just said, I am done watching people get hired, dropped into a sales floor with absolutely no training, and they were just set up to fail?
Absolutely. It's funny. We used to have training sessions every single morning, which is, I duplicate that system till this day, and we'll talk about that later. But I remember I was just so fed up, and I had all my actual agents that had been seasoned with me for a while. I said, you know what? One of these days, I'm going to open up my own company and everybody's going to be associates of mine. I was like, I'm going to train the best people, the right talent, and we're going to make this super easy for us to be able to just hire a body and just plug and play. So when they're ready to train, they know exactly what we're training about. And it's not like from scratch. I go, one day we're going to have a system like that. And so I remember that conversation very, very vividly, like daily.
That's awesome. I love that. So obviously, here we are today, and what you said came to fruition. So let me ask you: so when a CEO or a founder, right, is sitting where I am, building a team, scaling, what kind of company will get the biggest benefit out of working with you?
Honestly, any company that wants to scale with the right people, right? And especially
You.
imagine being able to think up your best employee or the employee that you're really looking for. And you're trying to figure out the right words to find it on Indeed. But you tell me, and I know what you're talking about because I've been in your shoes. I've been the person asking the questions, wanting to find the right person for the right position or the right department. And, sometimes you just don't find the right words. And Indeed or other companies that they have, staffing agencies or these websites, you're going to be put through an algorithm. Let's just put it that way. And they're going to kind of find out. And it's like, why do I have a plumber trying to apply for my position for sales? There's
I
like
see it
retail
every day.
sales, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I would say, honestly, what is it that you're looking for? Allow me to have a conversation with you to see exactly what your business is about, what your culture looks like, or what you want your culture to look like, right? What do you want to build? I think that's one big thing is people don't even know what type of culture do I even want. The business name is part one, the idea, you know what I mean? Part two, like all of that is just, those are the baby steps. But what type of culture do you want to actually have? And you got to have those specific people for that specific culture that you want.
Absolutely. I think that's so important. So, what do you think? Because I know the difference, but what is the difference? Because there are thousands of staffing agencies out there. I have hired more than I care to admit, and the experience was horrific. So, what do you think separates your firm from everybody else doing this type of work?
Well, one of the biggest things is I don't just let anybody walk through my door when it comes to applicants, right? There is a process that you have to go through. So, number one, I understand that you're going to be dealing with these people every single day. In fact, you'll be dealing with them more than you actually deal with your own family members, right? So, everybody has a certain personality for a different department, a different position. So, number one, I want them to take an Enneagram test, which I actually got from you. That was like an addition to what we're doing. And then I
Amazing.
actually have them take a Marcusetta test, which is a personality test. Two total different tests. One tells me what type of personality you are on a day to day, and the other tells me how you're going to operate as an employee, right? And what type of work you'll actually be successful at. right?
Hmm.
So once we have them do that, now keep in mind, obviously, a lot of my agents, they are international. So
Hmm.
huge factor. If I can't understand you, nobody else will. So they do have
Hmm.
to go through an audition, and they have to audition by reading a script. If we can understand them and we can be able to have a good, clear conversation with them, they now get entered into our fundamental university. And in our fundamental university, we're trying to find out, how do they build rapport? What type of tonality do they have? Are they able to communicate with people and actually build a relationship? Because one key factor is we build relationship builders, not sales agents, not customer service agents. Because if you don't know how to build a relationship, the customer service, I mean, it really doesn't matter, right? You're never going to get to that step to sell or that step to save a customer if you do not know how to build relationships. So once they're in my fundamental class and they graduate the fundamental class, they'll actually go to my closer training where they get me, and we go a little bit deeper with overcoming different objections, rebuttals, so on and so forth, and even learn a little bit about the industry that they're trying to apply for. So that way, when you do get somebody, you're not getting somebody who's a complete deer in the headlight.
I love that. So,
Mhm.
why would you say why would you say that when so obviously I know you're very strict in the criteria. So you talked about the agents that you reject. So we already established the fact that number 1, right, communication is number 1.
Uh-huh.
Why else would you not move forward with an agent?
Well, if one thing, if they're in our fundamental class, if you're not participating in my class and you're just a fly on the wall, we flick the fly off, right? So like you're not there. You're just in class. How are you communicating? What's your attitude? Are you a team, player? Are you the first one to want to role play? Are you the first one to ask questions? And so if I'm finding that I have a silent person in my class, they usually get exited out. And we don't even move them forward because it's a waste of time for everybody, including themselves.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. So let me ask you this because I get a lot of pushback from fellow CEOs all the time, and they're like, why are you investing so much in your people? And in fact, you've experienced this with me. People come here, they work, we elevate them, we train them, we build them into someone that they've never been. And all of a sudden, their confidence soars and they leave.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are like, why would you invest that much time into someone just to potentially, keyword is potentially, and this is something common I'm seeing within my organization, right? We put so much into our employees that they're like, I've performed better here than I ever have anywhere else. What would you say to the person who's hesitant to train daily because they're like, well, I don't want to just invest in this person to have them leave and go somewhere else? What would you say to that?
Well, number one, you really got to think about, why would you think people would leave you? It's kind of like that sales agent. When you ask that sales agent, why would somebody buy from you? Why would they not buy from you? So if you're already thinking that, you're not certain, you don't have a level of certainty in your own culture. Because, like, for me, I'm like, "Pff, why would you leave me?" Right? Because look at what we invest in you. So I'm not really worried about that. But does it happen? Absolutely. Some people are like, oh, I gained all this knowledge. See ya. And it happens a lot, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But when I tightened up my culture, it happened a lot less and less and less. So you need to invest in your people, not just in the daily trainings, but invest in them as a person. It's no different than going to a restaurant and I have a waitress and her name is Emily, and instead of just looking at my menu and not looking at Emily and talking to Emily, I'm going to have just a low level experience, right? I might not even go to that restaurant anymore. But when I say, hi, Emily, how are you doing? How's your day? I'm doing great. I have the best service. So I implement that same type of mentality into my agents. I get to know them. I get to know what's their goals, why are they even here? Why did you apply? Why are you so eager to show up to class every single day? Why are you so eager to show up to my company every single day? And I want to get to know them a little bit more, and it helps with training and it helps with the investment. And so when you invest in people, they're willing to invest in you. And that's why I always say, people, to CEOs or any business owner, if you focus on training and culture, the dials and deals are going to be there because people want to work for you at the end of it.
I love that. So
Mhm.
let's actually talk about how often people should be training because I think Obviously, so I've only been a business owner for 5 years. And my, oh my, like the amount of things I have learned along the way are insanity. And I finally got it. The importance of training daily.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I want to ask you, right? So, if you're training your team daily, let's talk about the compounding effect, the 30, the 60, the 90 days. Talk me and walk me through that. What does that investment typically look like? And how long? We've had this conversation before, you and I on the side, but how long does it typically take to see what someone is capable of?
Well, it takes about, I would say, minimum about 90 days, right? I mean, really think about this. You guys, you as business owner, I'm talking to all the business owners, CEOs here, you're building a relationship with somebody and they're in your house now. So they're learning your rules, your ways of doing things. And remember, nobody is going to ever close or run your company like you. Nobody's going to close like you. Nobody will ever close like me. Nobody for sure is never going to close like you, Micah, right? But if we can get very good at duplicating ourselves and maybe even make a sales agent or a customer service rep or whoever in the department a little bit better than us, then we're doing well, right? So to answer your question, about 90 days is when you're going to see that somebody's got the finally aha moment of, I get it. But you have to invest in daily training every single day, Monday through Friday. It never stops. I will tell you from my experience, the company, one big firm that I built their sales team with, numbers are going up. And one thing that our CFO says is, we're losing money because they're not on the phones. They need to get on the phones. Shorten your trainings from 30 minutes to 15. Cool. Got it. 15-minute trainings we started doing, and it was rushed. And they didn't get the satisfaction of the great morning and the pump up and the energy, right? They were just like, that was their coffee in the morning from me, right? And I love to be full of energy, so I pump energy into my team. So they had to lose that, and they are like, Michelle, this is not the same person. What the heck? We're just going straight to work? Absolutely. Objection, objection, objection. Then it went to 10. Then it went to none. Our sales dropped dramatically every single week. And one question my agents always said was, where's training? Training helped me. Training was the reason why I wanted to show up every single day.
Yeah.
And after that, our culture completely dropped. People were quitting left and right. And I'm telling you, people want to work for some place that actually has a purpose, a meaning, and that grows them. So if you're investing in some type of training with your people on a daily basis, they feel some type of growth. Till this day, these people who no longer work for this company anymore come back to me and say, Michelle, nobody has ever trained like you or invested in like me the way you did, because you got to know me, you were talking to me, and you made sure I leveled up. And so that was probably one of the biggest mistakes of this firm that I was working with, that actually ended up closing the doors because people walked out the door because they completely robbed them of that peace, honestly, is what they got.
Wow. I
Mhm.
mean, that's so powerful if you think about that, right? You go from 50 million to zero. I mean, pretty quickly, right? I think that is something that people think that things are great and right, it's like, oh, we don't have to train anymore. And I kind of think of it, I mean, I run my team like a sports team, and most people don't make it with me for an exorbitantly long amount of time. They don't even usually make it out of like the training class because we are only looking for the best, which now we actually have the best, which is amazing. But we have the same mentality. We run our team like a sports team, right? So we look at the greatest. Like there is no NFL team out there that says, I'm just gonna skip practice this week and everything's gonna be great. There's no team out there that does that. Why do you think why do you think this is so common? Because I know every company I've ever worked at, it was me alone. I was the one responsible for my sales, my training. Like no one gave me anything. Why do you think companies operate like that?
Honestly, it is the level and the mentality of scarcity. They're thinking, oh my gosh, every minute counts, every dollar counts. No, sir. It's not how it works. Think about our military. Our military have to train every single day. Could you imagine if they were focused on, no, just go figure it out and go on the battlefield. Just do what you got to do. You were trained once. We would fail. Same thing what you're talking about sports teams. Do you know that athletes actually get garnish their wages if they're even 10 minutes late? And not like $5. You're talking about 5 grand,
Yep.
10 grand if they
Yep.
don't show up, because your job is to be the best and to win Super Bowls and to make sure you're running as fast as you can. You're as healthy as possible, right? This is why they have not only just every 6 month daily, health checks for them. It's daily. It is weekly. I mean, these are machines that we're building. So if you see that the NFL is a multi-billion, almost $1 trillion industry, why would you not follow the same model and the same mentality?
Agreed.
Right?
100% agreed. And you know what's interesting is, so I think it's more endearing, right, to admit fault. I was also guilty of that myself, thinking, why are we spending so much time in training when we need to be on the phones? And I tried to do that at one point too. And then I think it lasted a week and I was like, let's go back to the long trainings. I totally was in that place, right? And I think that you pegged it perfectly on the head, right?
Yeah.
That scarcity mindset, right? And so I think it's so easy to fall into that trap. I have fallen into that trap, right? You get into a point where you're like, oh my gosh, we need XYZ to happen. And you're looking at the trajectory of the company and you want things to grow. But what you don't realize is it's that slow, steady, that constant drip, that consistency, right? That breeds those results. And I think what people forget is that, right, we're not running sprints here. This is a marathon. This is a completely different ball game. And I think that's where a lot of business owners and companies get tripped up, right? Just not realizing the importance of that training. So I love that you said that. So let me ask you too, because I think that so much of the training that we do, it's not about scripts, right? Do we have scripts? Absolutely, right? We need that foundation. But let's talk about the emotional side. How do you help people stay sharp emotionally? And how do you ensure that like this isn't just a scripted thing? Because right, we get that question all the time. Like, do you have scripts? Are you a scripted
Yeah.
company?
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I'll quote Daniel G. I remember I'm meeting Daniel G, who's a great sales trainer. He says one thing that I implement every day now is you need to be a professional buyer. You need to be professional on how people buy and why they buy, not how to be professional in selling and having the best scripts and whatnot. Because look in the mirror. We are consumers, right? We have the mics and the computers and everything we have right now because somebody sold us on why this was going to be the best product for our company or for our, whatever we're looking to provide a solution for, right? And really think about this and ask you guys self this question right now as you guys are listening. Why did you even start your company? Businesses are created to provide solutions. But how do we find out that somebody even has a situation? We ask them and we figure out if you're really wanting to find out the data, that's why big companies are huge. Look at Apple. They didn't just say, you know what, I want to listen to I want to listen to these iPods real quick. No, they went and actually asked people, how do you want to listen to your music? Do you want to take it everywhere? Right? What type of experience do you want to have? And what's lacking in that experience? So if you're not asking these questions, you're not building rapport, you don't even know who you're selling to. All you're doing is reading a script and just hoping that you're throwing a line and you're going to catch something. And that right there will drive somebody completely insane. And this is one thing whenever I'm doing a consultation with my clients, I get the first question I ask is, why did you start this business? What made you start this business? I'm like interviewing these people and you hear either the passion, and that's who I want to work with. If I hear a business owner is like, well, you know what? People are doing really good in this industry and I want to make a lot of money. My company's not for you, because
Yeah.
it's also my job to make sure that my agents actually are going to be with the company they're going to be able to grow with and there's longevity, right? Because there's
Yeah.
nothing worse than going job hopping, right? And
Yeah.
so that's the same thing that I teach my agents in any type of sales training. You need to know, is this client actually somebody who needs help? Are they in a
Yeah.
situation and do you have a solution? But if you don't ask questions and you're just reading the script and just trying to go over these rebuttals, you got to realize your scripts, you guys need to realize your scripts need to be a guideline of what's the next step in compliancy. That's it. You need to train your people how passionate you are about your product and have them ask the same questions to find out what people need. That's the whole reason why you built your company. That's the whole reason why I built my company. I wish somebody asked me, Michelle, what do you need? Not just give me a body because I said I need to hire somebody.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
ask
yeah.
yourself that.
I love that. So, what would you say to the person who is thinking to themselves, like, I don't really like sales. I want to do sales, but I don't like sales. Salespeople are sleazy. How can you help people understand? How can you put to bed, right, that thought process? Because there are really bad salespeople. We've all
Absolutely.
come across them where all they care about is right making money. So how can you just completely let's take that salespeople are bad and let's put them into the right salesperson. Let's put them into the box that they deserve because salespeople do blank.
Right. Well, salespeople are pushy. Salespeople are, have no emotion. Salespeople just care about the paycheck and the commission, right? I will tell you, if salespeople have that mentality, they were taught that mentality. They were taught
Mm,
to sell like that and to be
mm,
pushy. And then I've met these trainers who are just
mm-hmm.
like, go until, right? When
Yeah,
reality is, when you learn how to be a good relationship builder, you'll be a good salesperson. And really
amen.
think about it. We all sell ourselves every single day.
Yeah.
And I even teach my kids this. If you're a pushy salesperson with mom, what's going to happen? I'm going to bite your head off because eventually you're not going to get nothing. you know, you're not going to get nothing. So ask questions, right? Two options. Now my kids are like, Mom, if I eat if I eat all my dinner, would I be able to have an ice cream or a candy? What would work better for you? And what would be less sugar for me? I'm like, dang it. I love it. Right? Yes. As opposed to, can I have ice cream? Can I have ice cream? They're going to bite your head off. So it's the same mentality when you're talking to your clients. If you're just so pushy and you're not asking questions and really relating with them, they're going to bite your head off and they're going to hang up on you. But again, this was all taught. So what I always tell my sales agents, if they come in with sales background, I let them know everything you learn, throw it in the trash. Throw it in the trash because we grow people and we train relationship builders, not sales agents. All sales is you asking the price and telling them what the product is. That's really what the sales entails. But who am I selling to? So you got to teach people that. So um, again, it's very old school. Some of the ways of it's just like, push, push, push until you get something right. But you obviously need to learn a different style of doing stuff like that. So again, I don't blame it on the sales agent. I blame it on the trainer because they were taught that type of mentality, right? I
Yeah.
was trying to, somebody tried to teach me that mentality, and I was pushy and I was arrogant and I was annoying and was getting hung up on multiple times. I will never forget one lady. I was closing a deal and well, I thought I was closing a deal because I was confident and I was push, 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 push. And I was talking really fast. And she goes, Ma'am, I'm going to stop you right there. Number one, you're talking way too fast. And number two, all you're doing is talking and you're not asking me any questions. And I just feel
Mm.
like you're trying to really get me into this, product of yours. And it's not for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hang up the phone, and I'm gonna go ahead and look somewhere else. And my mentality is like, well, then let me slow down and let me talk slower. She's like, no, I'm good. And I will never forget that lady because I did. I
Wow.
made it about me, my sale, my commission, my
Mm-hmm.
goal. It was me mentality. And that lady honestly completely changed my total like understanding of how I need to talk to people on the phone.
That's huge. I think that's valuable because I think a lot of people never learn that lesson, right? They just are like, "Oh, it's not me, it's them," and they continue on to the next and they maintain that stance. And I think that actually makes me think about what Tony Robbins says, right? Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. I don't know who would ever feel good about selling to someone something that doesn't solve their problem and something that they don't need, right? So it's like if it's all about the hunt and the close, no matter who's in the way, I think that that's where a lot of people get tripped up, right? And so that's why where you get like the used car salesman, right? Who's just trying to sell you something and it's not even something that really matches your needs, your budget, whatever it is. And we've all been on the receiving end of this, right? You know when it's inauthentic, you know when it's fake, right? Like, I think one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty." And then, right? And then, but you know, it's just because they're trying to make a sale. Or, "My God, you look so good." And I'm like, "I'm not wearing any makeup and I'm in my sweatpants. What do you mean I look so good?" Like, what are you talking about? Like, I look terrible. But you know when someone's being authentic. And I think you hit it on the head, which is it's about relationship building, right? Relationship building, doing the discovery, getting to know the person. So, what I actually want to do now is this is going to be so much fun. I have been wanting to do this with you for so long. So, guys, gals, if you are in your car, turn it up. If you're at the gym, lock it in because we're actually going to drill the most common objections that every salesperson hears. So, Michelle is actually going to coach everybody the rebuttal in real time. This is what she actually helps every single one of my agents with. And so our team gets this every single day, day in, day out for a good chunk of time. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So objection number one, this is the most common stall in the world. It's the kill move. I need to think about it.
You know what? I completely understand you got to think about it. I have to think about everything as well. But let me ask you this. Did you really have to think about booking an appointment for this service that you need?
Ooh. I mean, no, I need your services.
Then let's get it done.
I love it. Objection number two, I can't afford it right now. Is this real or is this smokescreen?
That's a great question. Honestly, right now, Micah, I'm as real as it gets when we're on the phone here together. And let me ask you, have you ever tried anything that didn't work before?
Yeah, a lot of things.
Okay, but did you try again after that?
Some of the things I did, some of them I didn't.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, have you ever gone to a bad restaurant?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Did that stop you from ever going to a another restaurant again?
No.
So this is no different than another experience in another restaurant. So let's get this done.
I love it. And what about, sorry, I kind of threw two questions into one. So what about I can't afford it right now?
You can't afford it right now. What can't you afford? Can you not afford the solution or could you not afford the price?
The price.
Okay. What about the price that you can't afford? Right now, it looks like you can't afford not to because right now you're in a financial mode right now that you can't afford even not to have this service.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Let me talk to my spouse.
Okay. Hey, I completely understand where you're coming from. You threw me off on that one. I gotta talk to my spouse. Absolutely. I talk to my husband about everything before I get started. But let me ask you, did you talk to your husband before you went ahead and made this phone call?
Yeah,
Okay. Does he usually trust you to make these types of phone calls all the time?
of course.
Well, then he trusts you to make the right decision. Let's get this done.
Love it. I've tried something like this before and it didn't work.
Okay. Completely get that. I've tried a lot of things before and it didn't work 1,000 times. I've actually tried dating 1,000 times and it didn't work, but that never stopped me from dating. So, have you started dating before a lot of times and it didn't work?
Yeah,
Did you stop?
kind of. For a little while.
But not eventually till eventually you got married, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so did dating work for you after all?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get it done.
Love it. All right. So just send me the information. I'm going to review it.
Okay, perfect. So I have the information right now. I just sent you a link. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's take a look at it together. If you see right there, I just got another gentleman just graduated from our program here, and he had the same exact question as you. Is this going to work? And you can see right there, it did work. He's in his house, and I would love to be able to have the same result for you.
Love it. Your competitor is cheaper.
Absolutely. There's a lot of cheap options out there. You can go ahead and get a burger from McDonald's for less than $1. I don't know if you're going to be satisfied or if you're going to enjoy it later, but was the quality the same as somebody where if you go to a better restaurant and get something a little bit more expensive and have a little bit more quality?
I mean, I like my McDonald's hamburgers. I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, it's a different experience.
Cheaper always better?
No.
Okay, neither are we. So we're not cheaper, we're better.
Okay. I'm not sure I trust this.
What don't you trust? Is it the process, the price, the program? Is it me?
Um, I just I just feel not ready to start, I think. I think that's what it is. Maybe I'm just not ready.
Let me ask you, what made you make a decision to say, I'm ready to book an appointment to see exactly how I can get out of this situation and into a better one?
Well, I mean, if I keep going down this path, then my life is going to suck.
Then you already made a choice, and I think you're already ready to get started. So let's get this done.
All right, so next objection. Now's not a good time.
Now's not a good time. Okay. Was it a good time for you to book an appointment to decide to actually go ahead and find a solution to your situation?
I mean, yeah, I feel like crap. I need to do something.
Okay. So do you think this is going to be the solution to your situation?
Maybe I hope so.
Well, you're not going to know if unless we get started. So let's go ahead and get started today, and then you'll be able to actually see the results of the solution.
Awesome. I love it. So, guys, listen, that's what you just heard. That 8 minute of training or however long it was, right? That is going to pay you back for the rest of your career. And this isn't something, right? Michelle's not reading a script, obviously. These are just things that she has in her arsenal. And this is one thing that I always tell people, like the people who are very good at responding and overcoming objections. And she teaches the team this every single day, right? When you see a professional speaker on stage, they're not just like winging it. This is stuff they have practiced thousands of times. Like people are like, oh, you're such a good speaker. I'm like, because I practice, right? It's the same thing with sales. Like everybody is going to have an objection because everybody's afraid of essentially getting quote unquote sold, right? So it really is about helping somebody understand, become comfortable with you, the process as a whole. So you have to get down to the bottom of what it is that's stalling them, right? So Michelle and I, we talk a lot about, Michelle, if you want to comment on this, but you talk a lot about mirroring, right? So we say it in 1,000 different ways in our trainings, but mirroring is always your favorite. That's always your go-to. What is the importance to everyone listening about mirroring? And guys, listen, what you're learning right now, these are life skills. You will have a better friendship, a better marriage, a better boyfriend girlfriend relationship. This is all encompassing. Everyone is getting sold every single day, right? If you're on the other end of a relationship, you're getting sold on something one way or another, whether you realize it or not. So I would love for you, Michelle, just to talk a little bit about mirroring.
Well, mirroring is super important. It's basically repeating the client's objection, right? Before actually answering the objection, because sometimes your client needs to hear what they just said, right? I know we do that a lot sometimes. Like, did you just hear what just came out of your mouth right now? But it also allows the client to know that you heard them, right? That you understand where they're coming from, but but it's also good for you because you're able to gather your thoughts a little bit better, because when you mirror them, you're understanding, okay, cool, this is the objection, right? It's like, I got to think about it. Okay, I completely understand you have to think about it, but then go through the objection. Some people want to go through, I want to think about it. Well, our company is this and our company is that and our company is this. Your client doesn't care. They care about what their objection is. I don't have the money. I have to talk to my husband, right? Well, let's get your husband on the phone right now. Like again, it's the pushy type of mentality, and that's how you're going to get hung up on. So for sure, mirroring your client allows so many different things to happen on a call. And again, it's another level of rapport.
I love it. Guys, sales and life in general, if you want to be successful in life, you have to learn how to communicate. This is all that it is. It's communication.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I didn't even have this in my brain until literally just now, it just popped into my head. They say that, and give me the statistic if you know it, but I believe it's only, is it 85% of salespeople do not ever follow up? Does that sound right?
It's about right. Yeah. I think Grant Cardone's been saying it's between 80 to 85% of money is just left on the table.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. The fortune literally is in the follow up. Now, let me ask you this. You say how you do one thing is how you do everything. How do you build a good relationship with anybody, a friendship, of somebody you're dating? The fortune's in the follow up. If you follow up with that person enough, you're either going to this is not the relationship for me because they're just not interested or I'm not liking the feedback, or B, this can grow into something long term, right? And so it's the same thing with your clients. Number one is I hate the word follow up. I shouldn't say hate, hate's a strong word. I dislike the word follow up, right? Because it's obvious. It's like me going to your house and be like, I'm here. Well, we know you're here. I'm at your house. We know that, right? It's obvious. Okay. So when you're following up with somebody, bring back a little piece of what you built with your client as far as rapport goes. What was funny about your conversation, or what was deep about your conversation, or what was your goal? Hey, John, how are you doing today? Good. How's the mom? How's the cat? How's the dog? How are the kids? Right? Hey, John, I was just thinking about you. I know you're trying to get in a house not till next year, but I want to be able to get you in this program as quickly as possible. I just had somebody graduate and it made me think of you, right? They already know I'm following up. Why do we have to state the obvious? But when you follow up with some sincerity and some type of, I guess, a piece of the relationship that you built with somebody, because whether you like it or not, you spend 30 minutes with somebody, you're building a relationship. Even if it's a bit itty bitty one, right? You build a relationship. I've built relationships with people in the Target line because we related on something, and I'll never forget that person, right? They might have helped me with something. So bring back that little piece of memory that you built with your client, bring it back up, re-bring the conversation up, and that's how you should follow up.
I love that. I love that. And again, it's relationship building. That's all that it is. It's not that hard. It's really not hard. It's just that so many people are unwilling to do it because it's work. Oh my gosh,
Exactly.
who would have thunk that?
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So listen, I want to talk to the CEO, the owner, the team lead, the salesperson. I
Mhm.
want to talk to the person responsible for somebody else's paycheck.
Mhm.
If you are not training them daily, if you are not pouring into them daily, if you are giving them a PDF and sending them on their way, right, versus a 30-minute Zoom or in-person sales class, right? There's a reason your team is underperforming. You're underperforming as a leader. You have to take responsibility. Investment is not optional if you are, again, responsible for somebody else's paycheck. It is the job. So, Michelle, I want you to say, I would love for you to share with our audience, what's your message to the leader who knows they should be doing more and everything we talked about, but hasn't started?
Well, I mean, you need to realize you need to invest in your people. No different than you want to invest in your clients. As bad as you want to help your clients, you need to have that same passion to invest in your people. Because at the end of the day, unless you want to continue building your business by yourself and have wearing multiple hats, you're never going to scale. You need to realize you are the bottleneck of your company when you're not investing in your people. When you don't take the time to train, build them, or get to know them. Now, one thing that I will say I do is I know business owners are busy and they don't have the time to train daily, or maybe they just don't know how to. I mean, I will say it is a skill. Training people is a skill. You have to be willing and wanting to actually do it, right? So I actually do training for companies, right? I have a big training I do every single day. Um, and they hop on and they give me all of their rebuttals, their objections. And what's funny is I get more emotions than I do rebuttals or
Mm,
objections on there. They
mm-hmm.
tell me like, Michelle, this happened to me and I'm feeling this way and this way. And sometimes I have to really train their mentality more than I do their objections. And when they feel good, they do good. And so
Yeah.
sometimes my trainings are not just role plays. Sometimes my trainings is like, man, we need to have a group powwow because it's not just one person feeling like they're losing. Everybody's feeling like they're losing. And you pump them up and we set up a game plan on how
Yeah.
we can help them win. So I do have, I do have that available as well. And a lot of my clients are like, Michelle, I don't know what you said to them, but every time they're in your training, they come out better. And I'm like, great. That's my goal, is to make somebody better than they were yesterday. So, if you don't have, access to me for whatever reason, or maybe you don't have access to training, invest in somebody to train your people for you, but know what they're not just training them, they're building them.
Yeah, I love that. So that way people do have access to you before we close out. So to everyone here who's like, I need this woman in my business, where do they find you? How do they work with you?
Yeah, so you can go to ebastart.info. You can also find me on Instagram. Usually I'm posting trainings and, different events that I do go to as well. So you can always meet me as well. I'm going to be at multiple events this year. I'll actually be at CreditCon. So I usually try to go to a bunch of different business events as well, because a lot of business owners do need me. I don't just work in one industry. I work in multiple industries. So you can find me at shewill.info on Instagram. And those are the two places you can find me. I like to keep things pretty simple and easy. Two places you can find me there. All my information's on there. You guys can book an appointment with me. We'll do a consultation and see exactly how we can help you.
I remember the first time I heard you speak on stage, I beelined it for you. I was like, noted, love her, find her, work with her. And here we are today, almost 2 years later, right?
In May, it will be 2 years later.
I love it. So listen, guys, if today's episode hit you and if you felt that conviction, I have not been investing in me, I have not been investing in my team, don't let it pass. Don't scroll to the next podcast and just say, oh, okay, all right, on to the next, right? The most successful people, they absorb information and then they apply it. Guys, if you're a team leader, schedule a daily training block on your calendar before you go to bed, 15 minutes. And actually, forget 15 minutes, 30. You heard it from Michelle today, 30 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Start there. The top 1% are not more talented than you, okay? They're not more talented than your team. They're more trained than you. That's the whole thing. Michelle, I want to thank you again for being here. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for all you stand for. I am Micah Smith. This is another episode of Rebuild and Rise. If you enjoyed this show, please like, subscribe, and please do not forget to share this with someone that you know it will make an impact in their lives. Thanks a lot. God bless. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit like and subscribe. And if there's someone you know that this would help, please share this with them. If you are looking to fix and repair your credit, you can find us at www.micaabigail.com. And if you're looking for more personal stories on myself, you can find me at Fit Credit Doctor. Thanks again for joining, and God bless.